Welcome to episode 43 of the Business Development Podcast. And today we are chatting the critical importance of business development and client relationships. We are going to chat about what to do, what not to do, and what never to do on today's episode. Stay tuned.
The great Mark Cuban once said, "Business happens over years and years. Value is measured in the total upside of a business relationship, not by how much you squeezed out in any one deal." And we couldn't agree more. This is the Business Development Podcast, based in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, and broadcasting to the world. You'll get expert business development advice, tips and experiences, and you'll hear interviews with business owners, CEOs, and business development reps. You'll get actionable advice on how to grow business. Brought to you by Capital Business Development, capitalbd.ca. Let's do it. Welcome to the Business Development Podcast. And now your expert host, Kelly Kennedy.
Hello, welcome to episode 43 of the Business Development Podcast. I hope you guys are having an absolutely amazing week. Just let me start out by apologizing for any audio issues we may have. I am recording from a new location. It's not perfect yet, so if there's a little bit of echo, I am trying to screen it out, but my apologies. It may be like this for a little bit, but we will get it rectified as soon as we can. It is episode 43, and we are at our 5-month anniversary of the Business Development Podcast. That's right, 5 months. So much has happened in that time. We're sitting at 51,000 downloads. We won the Best Business Podcast 2023 from Quill Inc. Once again, thank you, Quill Inc. and everybody who voted for us. It was amazing to win that award. And we are just clipping along, 43 episodes to date. And I just want to also start this episode by giving a big thank you to Jim Gale. Jim Gale was our expert guest for last episode, episode 42, Entrepreneurship is the Ultimate Freedom. Jim Gale is an amazing man. He's done a lot of cool things, and it was very cool to have him on his show to share his vision of food forest abundance. Thank you, Jim, for joining us and telling your story. What an amazing one it was. I also just want to say happy Canada Day. Canada Day was just over the weekend for us Canadians, and the recording today is July 4th, Independence Day for my American friends. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you guys are having an absolutely amazing Independence Day, and you had a great long weekend to go along with it. Today's episode, I wanted to talk about something. It may not be that long, but it is very critical to talk about, and that is the business development and client relationship. This one also feeds into my account management people, for the people who are doing business development and are also doing account management. Do remember, I always talk that we want to separate our business development and account management. Just makes it more efficient, allows business development to chase all that new opportunity, to find those new connections, allows our account managers to be rock stars and to make great relationships with those current clients, right? But I understand it gets blended a lot. I was blended in it for years, so I totally understand, totally get that there's a lot of you doing both. And this show is a little bit for you today, but it also goes in for our client relationships with our business development people, because client relationships are absolutely critical. They are sacred and they must be protected. This episode today is going to have a little bit of a story to go with it, because I broke this rule once. I was asked to break it, but I learned my lesson, and I'm hopefully going to impart this lesson onto each and every one of you today. I will tell my story at the end, but I definitely want to talk about the critical things that are most important about a client and business development / account management relationship, okay? Honesty and integrity are critical to the relationship between yourself and your client. You never, ever want to lie to your client. You always want to tell the truth whenever possible. Always, right? We want to always be telling the truth to our clients and making sure that we're not over-promising anything, or we're not delivering what we said we are going to deliver, right? Because what we want to build with our clients is trust. We need to build trust and two-way communication and an open, honest relationship. And we do that by being honest and having integrity and always standing behind our product and service. We shout it from the rooftops, but we got to stand behind it too, even when it doesn't necessarily do what we hoped it would do. Okay. And that means sometimes that we got to eat what we said we were going to do, right? If it didn't work out for our client, we need to rectify that. We need to make sure that our clients are looked after always. And as business development reps, as account managers, it is our job as the go-between between our client and the company we're working for or that we run to be able to make sure that our client is compensated fairly in the event that things do not go in the way that we expect them to. It is always critical to protect that client relationship whenever possible, because it's hard to get good clients and it's very hard to keep them. And if we can keep them and we keep them happy and we just do the things we need to do to make sure that they're looked after, they are going to come back again and again and again. Okay. We never, ever, ever put our client in a compromising position. We never bribe them. We never ask them to do something illegal or unethical. We act ethically whenever possible because it is critical for us to act ethically and make good choices. That is almost expected, but you may be asked to do things that are unethical. Sometimes you might be asked to lie. You might be asked to cheat your client in one way or another. And you know what? You need to ask yourself, is that the person that you want to be at the end of the day? Do you want to make decisions that put yourself or your clients in a compromising position? Because I think the answer is no. We always want to do the best we can for our clients. At Capital, I go out of my way and do whatever I can to make sure that my client is successful and happy. Why? Because I know that if I do a great job for them, they will refer other clients my way. They will continue to send repeat business my way. And it is a lot easier to keep a client than it is to gain a new one. And so we have to make sure that we are looking after our clients. Our clients are precious. We wouldn't have businesses without them. And it's important that we don't lose sight of this. And as business development people, I know you might not feel connected to the end product because maybe you just made those introductions and did those things and, you take orders or whatever. But the reality is that it is important that you are the keeper of those relationships. You really are. Account managers, business development people, you are likely the keepers of that client relationship. And it is important as the keeper to always be advocating for the client, doing what we can to keep them happy and to keep them satisfied, right? Okay. We always want to build friendships and trust, right? All interactions with our clients need to be positive. Okay. We're going to get into this later on because that is a part where I made a mistake once and I knew better and I did it anyway and burnt myself. And we'll get into that. But always keep the relationship with your client as positive and high energy and happy as possible because our clients, that relationship is so critical. And the business development rep client relationship, it has to be positive because you're always reaching out to them. You're checking in for them for new opportunities, what's coming up next year. You're probably doing the outings and lunches. And if you're doing the account management, then you're really doing those fun outings and lunches and stuff to try to keep things kind of fresh and to keep up to date with what's going on with our client companies and what opportunities are coming down the road potentially for us, right? So we need to make sure that when we call our clients, they pick up. Right? Okay. Well, how do we make sure they pick up? We make sure that every interaction we have with them is positive, right? You're not the one, you're not the bearer of bad news. And we are going to get into this down the line here, but we need to keep all client-facing interactions as positive as we possibly can as business development people, as account reps, because it is us. We are the keepers of the relationship between the company and the client. We really are. And by being the keeper, we need to make sure that we are protecting that responsibility. And that responsibility is to be positive, to have positive interactions with our customers, which means, we're going to get into it down the line. We are not making negative phone calls to our customers. If our customers aren't paying or something's going wrong with a project, business development people are not the people calling to rectify that situation. You need to have someone else. We're going to get into that, but it needs to be somebody else, okay? We need to always be the best call of their day. So we'll get kind of back into that with positive interaction, right? Business development people need to be the best call of the day. We need to be leaving voicemails for our clients. We need to be leaving happy, positive messages. We need to be talking to them in a positive, affirmative way to make sure that they are always getting the best version of us, which goes into why we can't be the people with the bearer of bad news. Because if suddenly we're leaving voicemails and stuff that are asking for things or delivering bad news, well, now we've compromised ourselves. And the way that we look in the eye of the customer is no longer necessarily that great phone call or that friend. Now we've tarnished it with potentially some negativity. And that can really drive a wedge into the relationship that you are trying to build and accumulate with your client. Okay. We are always providing top quality products or services. So you guys know I got into this in a previous show. If you are currently working for a company that does not sell reputable services, that asks you to compromise your morals and values, that asks you to lie to your customer or to do things that internally you do not agree with, you need to go elsewhere, okay? There's a million other jobs. There really is. There's a million other jobs. Don't compromise yourself. Don't lie on behalf of a company. Don't compromise your moral integrity just for a company, because the reality is you don't have to do that. There's a lot of companies selling reputable, great products that deliver over and over again, that the customer gets what they pay for, that they're happy, that they're satisfied with the product or service. Those are the services we need to be standing behind. We need to be standing behind products and services that will improve our customers' day, that will improve their business, and will do what needs to be done so that you get repeat business over and over and over again, and you can sleep at night, because it is critical that you're doing something that you're proud of, right? In business development, we have to shout our company from the rooftops. We have to be the number one advocates. We need to be the cheerleaders for our businesses. And it's very hard to cheerlead for a business that you don't believe in, that sells crappy products, or that is compromising your moral values, right? So lots of companies out there, guys. Lots of companies out there. Don't work for ones that don't have top quality products or services. The reality is there's a ton of them out there that do, and you don't have to compromise yourself. And I would never ask a Capital employee to compromise themselves. I would never compromise myself on behalf of a company. And frankly, I just wouldn't work for a company that I didn't agree with what they were doing, or their products or services did not make sense in some way or another. So you have to be able to get behind a product or service to sell it well. And there's lots of opportunities for you to do that. Go find a company that you can 150% stand behind, because number one, it's going to make you a better business development and account rep. Number two, you're just going to have better relationships with your clients. You're going to do a better job. You're going to be more active, more involved, and more invested. Okay. All right. Don't have any negative client interaction from somebody else within the company. Okay. This is 100% critical. And if you take one thing away from this conversation today, it is this. If you are a business development or account rep, and someone in your company, maybe your boss, says, hey, your company ABC isn't paying their product or service, or heck, they did something and I don't like it, write them a dirty email or call them and ask them why they did this. Do not listen immediately. Do not listen. Tell them that your relationship with the client is critical and you're not going to be providing any negativity to that relationship. Have someone else do it. And this is 100%. Your boss may look at you and be like, what the heck? But trust me, this is the 150% best choice that you have, because if you tarnish that relationship, if you break that trust, that sacred relationship connection between account managers and clients, or business development people and clients, you are potentially wrecking that relationship for life. Okay. It's very, very, very hard to come back and rebuild the trust, rebuild, all of that good vibes with just even one big negative problem, which is why, it only takes one bad service or one bad, product to really, really hurt a customer relationship. I've seen it happen over and over and over again, where just one bad service or one bad product made that customer say, nope, never again. And you know what? I could even get into this with a internet provider that we have here in Canada. I'm not going to name them. They shall remain nameless. Although I'll tell you, I had a horrible experience with them just a couple weeks ago, where basically our install did not go well. It was going to be late. And so, as you guys know, I run my own company. I host this podcast. Internet is absolutely critical. And what ended up happening in this situation is they weren't able to provide service. They were going to be 2 or 3 days late. And when I said, well, what are you guys going to do about this? They're like, well, hey, we'll kick you a $20 credit. Little did they know, every single day that I don't have internet would cost me, a lot of money. And it just seemed absolutely insane to me that was their avenue. And the thing that pissed me off the most about the whole situation was this. When I called them, I got absolutely fed up with this internet provider. I called them to cancel my service. I called them and I just said, look, I'm done. Like this treatment was horrible. You guys made a gigantic mistake, and your option to fix it was we'll give you $20, which was absolutely nonsensical if you know how much internet costs here in Canada. And then they proceeded to offer me, everything under the sun to try to get me to stay, which seems so backwards. If they would have just done a great job upfront with that client relationship and said, hey, you know what, we're absolutely sorry about what's happened here. Here's a month free of internet. They actually offered me 6 months free of internet, and I still canceled. Why? Because I was treated like garbage in the beginning. I wasn't, my situation was not rectified at the time that it should have been rectified. Was right at the first issue, the first sign of problem. Nothing was offered. They offered me $20. They went on down the line to offer me hundreds of dollars in services. But it seems so absolutely backwards. Like the situation there was so backwards. So anyways, internet company in Canada, I can't name them. However, yeah, it was absolutely horrible. So client customer relationships are critical, and you can fix things, but you need to keep things positive, and you need to offer good resolutions, not garbage resolutions, good resolutions. Okay. So all negative client interaction needs to be from somebody else in the company, not the direct business development rep, not the person who is managing the day-to-day interactions with that customer, because that is the person who can bail you out of problems later, right? So if this is the situation, you wouldn't have your business development rep, your account manager, then reach out to the customer and say, hey, I got some bad news for you. You would have an operations manager, an accounts person, somebody else in the company. Heck, maybe it's even the bloody president of the company, but somebody else in the company reach out to the customer and say, hey, sorry, we have some bad news. Love to rectify the situation for you, but this is what's happened. And then allow that positive relationship to remain, because although the customer may be upset in that situation, he or she may not be upset at the business development rep or account rep. Who they might be upset at is just the person who called or the company for a few days. But the account rep always has the opportunity to book another meeting, apologize for the situation, and move the things forward, as long as that positive relationship is maintained. Okay. So keep that in mind. Always have your business development reps, your account managers, keep things positive always. If there's going to be a negative interaction, it needs to be somebody else. It needs to be somebody else within the company. That way, the business development rep or account manager can swing back in later with that positive relationship and hopefully rebuild the scenario, rebuild trust with the customer, and either win that customer back or maintain the relationship. Okay. All right. If we treat our clients with respect, they will follow us for years. This is critical. This is absolutely critical. As business development reps, account reps, we are always treating our customers and clients with the utmost respect. We're making sure that we're delivering for them time after time after time. We're doing the best we can to provide the best and highest level of service and products that we can. Because if you can build that relationship strong, okay, and you know what, the situation in Canada is, especially in oil and gas, which is a big part of Alberta and the province that I live in, is it's a gigantic industry, but it's also a very small industry. It's a gigantic industry, but the players are not huge. There's like 20 or so big players, okay, and so what ends up happening is, if you have somebody who's an expert in SCM or a director of SCM, something like that. Or, heck, depending on what your product or service is, the quality managers or the terminal managers or the facility managers, they tend to move from company to company in the same position. So what does this mean for you? You've built this great relationship with a facility manager or a terminal manager, okay? And you've provided an amazing service for, let's say, 5 years. And now they leave. Okay, well, normally this could be a really challenging scenario, because now you're trying to find, well, who's the new guy at the company, stuff like that. The cool thing about this situation is, if you treated them like rock stars, they're going to carry you with them. They are going to take you to the next company. And not only are they going to take you to the next company, they're probably going to introduce you to their replacement at the current company. So now, instead of just having that one client, you have two. And you already know what he expects or she expects, because you've done all the work to make sure that you've built that relationship strong, right? So it's awesome. Building great relationships, they follow you. They follow you for your career, not just for a job, but for your career. They don't go away. And so you have the ability to leverage those connections the next year, the next year, the next year, and the next company. and they follow you from place to place to place. So building critical relationships, having a positive relationship with your clients is absolutely critical, and it is detrimental to your success in business development and account management. And so it is absolutely critical to protect that relationship no matter what happens, okay? And I know we're not at Christmas. I know this is very, very early, but we're going to just talk about it briefly, okay? Very briefly. I'm going to have a whole nother show on this, I think, probably come October, November, because I think that's probably when you should be prepping at bare minimum. But Christmas gifts for your clients, okay? Yeah, I get it. We don't all celebrate Christmas. That's okay. It is still a recognized holiday around the world, okay? And, regardless of whether it's Christmas in Canada or United States, or, you celebrate some other holiday around the world, there's always holidays with gift giving, no matter where you're at in the world, okay? And it is absolutely critical that we are giving back to our clients, that we are giving back and saying, thank you for trusting me. Thank you for all of the business you've sent our way over the year. And I know it's not much, but here is a thank you. And it is critical that we are giving our customers and clients Christmas gifts of some type, okay? I get that we have to be very careful with this. Yes, we have to be very, very careful with this. A lot of companies have rules regarding gifting, right? There's dollar amount limits. There's certain things that are not allowed. However, find out what they are and still comply within the legal or within the ethical boundaries that you are allowed to work within. Because you know what, giving a customer, a bottle of something or a little gift bag or a backpack with a shirt and a hat in it, typically branded items are not frowned upon. So it never hurts just to give them back, give them a bag, give them some shirts, give them a sweater, give them a hat, or give them a bottle of wine or whatever you're going to give them. And just say thank you. Thank you so much for being our customer. I know it's not much, but we appreciate you and we think of you at this time. And a card and a little bag or something like that is always appreciated. At Capital, we typically give out bags, branded bags with some shirts and hats and stuff in them, and a Christmas card that we create, and they're always customized to our clients. And it's not much. It doesn't take an absolute ton of time. It doesn't cost a fortune, and it is always appreciated. It's always appreciated because clients love to know that you think about them. And part of your job as account management or business development is to show your clients that they matter to you, that you actually care about the relationship and the outcome of that relationship. And so giving a little gift at Christmas or whatever the holiday is that you give in your country is absolutely critical and should be honored, okay? I'm going to close today's episode with a story of the time that I broke this golden rule, okay? And it has a happy ending. I was able to maintain and fix the relationship, although I'm not sure that it ever came back to the level that it was at before. And I'm not confident that I ever did fix it completely. So even though we ended up getting future orders from them, we did more work with them. I did more work with them through other companies. I tarnished the relationship, and I tarnished it because I wasn't thinking and I made a huge mistake. And I'm just going to get into the story now, okay? So I was working for a company and we were providing services. We were providing manpower services, okay? And we had a customer. It was a relatively large oil and gas construction company here in Canada, in Alberta. And I had built an amazing relationship with the customer. We're going to call customer John, okay? I had a great relationship with John. And I had worked with John since literally the beginning of my business development career. This company was one of my very first clients, and I'd worked with them at this point for probably 8 years off and on. And we ended up having an issue where John had requested some personnel and had a date, had a site, had everything figured out. We had sourced them. We had gotten everything going. And right before, I think it was the day before they were supposed to go out to a site, we got an email from John saying, sorry, we actually had some personnel come available within the company and we won't be needing these two personnel. But thank you so much for doing that for us. We really appreciate it. And we apologize for the inconvenience. This was essentially the email sent to us. A manager I had at the time got upset with this email and said, Kelly, you need to reach out to John and you need to say, look, we don't appreciate that. We don't appreciate this last minute cancellation. And we would very much appreciate that this didn't happen again. And yep, I was dumb enough to send that email. Yes, I was. I admit complete responsibility. It was stupid. I knew better, and I should have said to my manager at the time, absolutely not. You send it or somebody else send this, or just better off, don't send anything and wait for the next opportunity. Anyways, this message was sent. The response was not great, as you would imagine. And it really, really hurt that relationship. And I eventually came back on my hands and knees groveling and said, look, I'm absolutely sorry for sending that. We don't want to hurt this relationship, and I would love any opportunity to rebuild it with you. So the reality is I had to go back anyway. Even despite sending that horribly crafted email that my manager had asked me to send, I had to go back anyway and apologize and try to rebuild that relationship, because we broke the trust. We broke the relationship. In that one email, we broke an 8-year relationship with a company that never needed to be broken. And, it still could have been sent in a different way by somebody else. It 100% could have been. But the fact is, it came from me. It came from the trusted account manager, the business development rep, the guy who had worked for years to build this relationship. And like I said, I did eventually rebuild this relationship. Thank goodness. I was very close with this person, so I was able to come back and say, John, I am so sorry. I knew better. I should have never sent that. I understand that that wasn't your fault, and I apologize for the way that I acted in that situation. But I had to take ownership for it. And it was me, because I knew better. It wasn't my manager. He didn't know better. I did know better, and I should have never done that. And so point is that your client, customer, business development rep, account manager relationship is sacred. It's critical to the success of your organization, and you do not compromise it no matter what. You do not send stupid emails. You do not yell or cuss out your customer for any reason, because the reality is it takes you years to build those relationships, and it takes one bad interaction for the whole house to come tumbling down, okay? All right, that is the end of our episode. 5 months, 51,000 downloads. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you. If you are a loyal business development podcast listener, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for coming back week over week. Thank you for telling your friends and family. Thank you for the follows, likes, subscriptions. They go a long way. Any reviews you guys can send also go an absolute long way. So if you have a moment to write a review for us today, it would be greatly appreciated on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or heck, right on my website. It's always very much appreciated. I just want to give some shout outs. Shout outs this week are Paul Corratella, Aaron Haberman, and Samuel. Thank you so much for reaching out. They all reached out this week and gave us really positive information. I'm getting a lot of reaches out on LinkedIn of just people leaving us like little reviews on LinkedIn. If this is you and you're leaving reviews on LinkedIn, if you could please leave us one on, like I said, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or right on my website. There's a review section on my website. Greatly appreciate it, guys. Goes a long way. The LinkedIn ones just go to me. I love reading them. Believe me, I love reading them. Copy and paste it and send it on our website, or send it on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, because that helps us to grow our audience. It can be read by other people, and it's very, very much appreciated. If you're enjoying the show and you have a question for the show, we have a section now called Community Questions. My goal is to have it once a month. I have not received enough questions yet to be able to do that. But if you do have a question that you can submit to us that maybe is important to your business or important to you, and you would like it to be read on the air and then answered on the air with an acknowledgement to yourself, I would love to do that. I would love to do that for you. Please send it to me. Subject line Community Questions to podcast@capitalbd.ca. That's podcast, and I will address them on a future episode of Community Questions. Until next time, this has been the Business Development Podcast. I'm Kelly Kennedy, and I will catch you on the flip side.
This has been the Business Development Podcast with Kelly Kennedy. Kelly has 15 years in sales and business development experience within the Alberta oil and gas industry, and founded his own business development firm in 2020. His passion and his specialization is in customer relationship generation and business development. The show is brought to you by Capital Business Development, your business development specialists. For more, we invite you to see you next time on the Business Development Podcast.